What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 31 Days of Horror. I'm your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yes, 31 Days of Horror Volume 9. And of course, I'm coming at you live and direct. Alrighty, so it's getting a little cooler outside. The leaves are turning yellow, and they're falling off the trees. And that can only mean one thing, that fall is upon us. And that means that it is the Halloween season. And of course, the return of 31 Days of Horror. This is the 9th year that I've done this. Super happy to be back doing this. I look forward to this time of year every single year. It's like every horror fan's favorite time of the year, which is, of course, the Halloween season. And yeah, it's amping up this year. Now, 2025, as a whole, like within the horror realm, in my opinion, hasn't been like the strongest, but that's not going to stop me from having lots of fun during this 31 Days of Horror. And yeah, so just like last year, I set some boundaries, some rules, some just personal rules for myself while doing the 31 Days of Horror. Again, this year, it's going to be exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and hit up about 15 different countries in my 31 Days of Horror journey. Do about 10 different subgenres, probably lots more than that. We're going to hit up a film from every single decade from the 30s all the way up to the 2020s, and including I'll do one 2025 film. And yeah, that's pretty much what my personal rules for myself are. Yeah, so I basically picked out all my films. I put them in the randomizer, except for day 31, because that's kind of written in stone, and day 3, which is kind of going to be a special one. And I put it in random, and that was the order that was determined. So I did pre-pick all my films this year. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I take requests, sometimes I don't. But this year I just felt like kind of mixing up, doing some films that I haven't watched, doing some films I just felt like revisiting. So there's going to be a few rewatches here, and of course some 2025 stuff and whatever. Okay, so we're going to take it back to, I believe this one came out in 2021. It says 22 on here, but I think the IMDb date is actually 2021, and it is a film called Crabs, released by Raven Banner, which is a Canadian releasing company. Yeah, I've been wanting to see this one for a while. I picked this up a few months ago for the sole purpose of actually doing this during the 31 Days of Horror. I've heard really good things about this one, and I'm a big fan of these type of films, and I heard it was worth my time, so yeah. So basically the premise of Crabs is about our main character, Philip, and his girlfriend, they have to assemble a squad of players to basically defend against these mutated horseshoe crabs that have been morphed into these killer snow crab horseshoe crabs, and yeah, so they gotta figure out a way to defend these things. So very simple premise. So my thoughts on the movie. What I really liked about this film is that it doesn't waste any time with any like useless exposition about like how these crabs got mutated into what they become, these big killer horseshoe crabs and stuff like that. It literally opens up the film with, it's kind of like a CG shot of like a nuclear plant exploding to the ground. And that's your explanation as to why these things have mutated, because they all got radiated and stuff like that and become these killer horseshoe crabs. And of course they mutate into like some bigger ones also and stuff like that. So I really like that, how the film opens up. It just gives you no like dialogue at all. It just gives you a visual, and that's exactly what the explanation is. It's never even mentioned in the film that this nuclear power plant actually explodes and like radiates the ocean. And of course the horseshoe crabs are the only ones that get mutated and become killers and stuff. It's so stupid. But I do really like how this film opens up. It actually opens up with a couple on the beach, and they're having sex, and this girl's like, "Oh, what's that?" She's like, "Oh, I think that's a crab," and then it cuts into the banner of crabs. I thought that was really clever on how they did that. Of course, so Crabs is basically going to be like a comedy horror film. It definitely has its moments. It's got its comic relief characters and things like that. But honestly, this thing was not as goofy as I thought it was going to be. With a film like Crabs, like how stupid and goofy is this going to be? It's actually got some pretty clever jokes. It's got some fun characters and stuff. So like I said, this one follows our main character Philip and his girlfriend. and actually their teacher's his girlfriend's mom. His older brother is a deputy sheriff, and of course they've got this exchange student named Radu, and he's clearly from Romania. And every time they said Radu's name, it just made me laugh because I just kept thinking of Subspecies the entire film. He's totally the comic relief. Everything he says is super funny. I can see how people would get a little bit annoyed with his character, but he's actually quite funny, and some of the shit that he says had me cracking up pretty good. I like that, man. He's uber aggressive, and some of the dialogue, it's kind of witty and catchy and stuff like that. But yeah, it's basically about these 5 people that it's prom night, and there's people that are being attacked by these horseshoe crabs, and of course this big whale washes up on shore and it's been half eaten and stuff. There's things that are going on, but it's prom night, and of course that's where all hell breaks loose, and then that's where they have to kind of defeat all these things and stuff like that. And I think it's a really fun film. Now I was expecting this one to be a lot more like heavy on the CG and stuff like that. To my amazement, there actually is a lot of practical effects in here. They do some practical effects on the horseshoe crabs, and some other things, like some of the kills and blood and things like that. It's a mixed bag. Like there's a little bit of CG, but the CG, I will admit, it looks really good. They did such a fantastic job with such a low budget. And yeah, to my amazement, like a lot of these lower budget films will kind of focus on a little bit more CG. It's a cheaper route to go, but they didn't really do that in here. And when they did use it, they did it fairly well, like really, really well. So yeah, much props to them on that. Love the location. This was shot in Fort Bragg in California. So it kind of has that it has that coastal feel that like something that Grabbers has. If you've ever seen the Irish film Grabbers, it's, these big killer, what is it? Octopus? Is that what it is? Yeah. But anyways, it's got kind of like the same location. It's a totally different feel, even though they both share the realm of being horror comedies and stuff like that. But it's got that coastal feel, kind of goofy characters and stuff like that, which I really enjoyed. But like, if you're a big fan of like small creature features and even bigger creature features and stuff like that, this one really kind of takes its inspiration from things like Critters and like Gremlins. And it goes into territories where it like kind of gets a little bit Godzilla, and it gets a little bit Robot Jocks at times. And it even has like, I feel like the big inspiration here is probably Attack of the Crab Monsters, like the Roger Corman film from 57, 58, something like that. It's been years since I've seen it, but it's a late 50s Roger Corman film. And of course, just the 50 monster features and in general and stuff like that. So there's a lot of inspiration here, but this is a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun. I really like the characters in this one. Like Philip, our lead character, is actually in a wheelchair. He's wheelchair bound. So he imports like this. He imports this fucking like piece of brand new technology that's going to help him like walk and things like that. It's like this big, I don't even know that. I can't even remember what they call it in the film. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. But eventually it comes into play with saving, the world basically from these horseshoe crabs and stuff like that, which is so stupid, and where that's the inspiration for like from Robot Jocks comes in, and Robo Warriors stuff I just watched the other night, the shit like that. So if you know what I'm talking about, you gotta know where this one's gonna go a little bit. It does play out how you think it will. But yeah, it's got a pretty decent body count. There's a bunch of people that do get slaughtered up in this film. It's not like crazy like that. But again, going back to the whole comedy elements, I thought there was a lot of really good stuff here. A lot of really kind of low-key jokes, and it's just not as goofy as I thought. There's one character, Radu, but like I said, I couldn't stop laughing because he was clearly from Romania, I think. I want to say that, but like I kept thinking Subspecies the entire time. But it was a funny, good comic relief, because I like a good like foreign exchange comic relief type character. I think that's actually really funny to do in films, and it works really well here, that all the characters meld together. I thought the casting was really interesting in this film too, because the kid that plays Philip is actually like in his mid-20s in this film, I think. And the girl too, his girlfriend, like it's typical, mid-20s casting where they're playing like 10th grade students kind of thing. And like her mom was like in her like they're very close in age. It's just kind of that comical casting of like, she's not an old enough to be your mom kind of thing. But yeah, really, really good. This movie looks phenomenal. Like, honestly, the Blu-ray, it's shot really well. It's, that's the thing I like about low-budget filmmaking now, is that you can make your films look so much bigger than they actually are with using a lot of drone shots and stuff. And it's, when you have a really great location like Fort Bragg, you do those shots and, you do those overhead shots, establishing shots, and it makes your film just look so much better. But they did use good cameras. It looks really good. The transfer on this is fantastic. So really nothing to complain about. Really nice addition here from Raven Banner. Got some alternate artwork there. It actually comes with the CD soundtrack. I thought that was really cool too. So music's pretty fun in the film. But yeah, just a lot of fun. You know, it's a quick in and quick out, man. It only runs about 80 minutes. It's not going to overstay its welcome whatsoever. It does take a little bit to get to the prom, but I think the build up towards it is actually pretty good. It's not like this all. There's like kind of a backstory. They don't really get into it too much with Philip and his brother. They're obviously on their own and they can't afford their house and stuff like that because obviously the parents have perished at some time. But they don't really play off that. Like it kind of keeps its comedic tone to a perfect level. It doesn't kind of exceed and get out of that at all, where it kind of changes tones and kind of just loses the viewer a little bit sometimes, you know, with the subplots in the films and stuff like that. But no, this one does a really good job all the way around. Really happy with this one. If I have to rate this one, I'm going to give it about a 7 out of 10. Really fun start to 31 Days of Horror. It's kind of funny actually because I usually don't do a lot of like comedy horror films, and last year the first one that popped up was a comedy horror film too, but this one's way fucking better than last year's, but even though last year's one was really fun. But yeah, Crabs, super fun film from 2021. For like the longest time I thought this was a Canadian film. It actually isn't. It's an American film. Like I said, shot in Fort Bragg, American production. So, but yeah, good stuff here from with Crabs. Crabs, starting off with a small little creature feature, but morphs into like a bigger one. Like I said, it's got tons of different influences. So if you've seen all the influences, you'll probably really get a kick out of it. Like there's definitely one scene in this film where, like the whole time I'm like, are they going to do some Gremlin shit? And they actually do. There's one scene where it's totally Gremlins. I'm not going to ruin it, but it's totally 100% Gremlins. And I thought that was pretty cool. So, but anyways, that's going to conclude day one here on the 31 Days of Horror. I will be back tomorrow. And like I said, I have actually concluded what my order of films and what's in order. So I do know what's coming tomorrow. It's going to be a film from the 90s. This was obviously not intended, but it is actually a film from 1992, which we're going to be recording the top 10 of 1992 show coming up here in about a week and a half. Actually, when you're seeing this, the show would have already been recorded. So, in fact, actually, when you're seeing this, I'll be at Cinema Wasteland. So, anyways, I'm rambling. Without further ado, let's get the fuck out of here, and I'll check you guys in day two. As usual.